choice never changes the fact that God is in control. Grace and peace, everybody. We're wrapping it up here on The Road, part number 5 of this 5-part series, looking at God as sovereign. Our sovereign God, who is above all, still gives us the chance, each one of us, each little one of us, to make the decision for what path we're going to follow, whether it's his perfect will, his permissible will, or even to live outside of his will. But ultimately, no matter what we choose, God is still in charge. Before we rejoice in the fact that God is still in control, I want to thank you for watching. You're in control of what you could do, and you're choosing to watch this video. Thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, pass it on to someone else, and hit the like button. And then we also want to invite you over to the website. That's changeministry.org. You're going to see this study and literally thousands more on so many different topics. I hope you're encouraged by it. And we also want to let you know we'd love to come face to face. Your church, your school, why not bring change to where you are? We're even willing to come at our own expense if necessary. But we depend on you for the invitation. So send us an email. That's contact@changeministry.org, and we'll see you soon. God is sovereign. He's above all, and he's in control. In fact, Psalm 81 makes it plain. But God lets us choose what we want to do. And so he calls, he waits to see if we answer. For example, here in Psalm 81, the sovereign Lord says, my people would not hearken to my voice. They wouldn't listen, and Israel would none of me. So I gave them up to their own hearts, to their own lust. And they walked in their own counsels, their own wills. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. Israel had the opportunity to choose God's ways. Israel had the opportunity to heed God's counsel, and they chose to ignore it. But that did not, and it does not change the fact that God has a will. God has counsels. There is a path that he has for us to follow because he's the sovereign God. He's the way maker. In Isaiah 66, again, he speaks of Israel's choice, but still his power. He says, I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them. Now, how? God is choosing these delusions? Well, because when I called, none did answer. They chose to be deceived. And when I spake, they did not hear, didn't listen, but they did evil before mine eyes. And they chose that in which I delighted not. And it's why he says, well, then I had to choose to send them what they wanted. They didn't want the truth. They wanted deceptions. They wanted delusions. And so I let them have them. Brothers and sisters, God's sovereignty is affirmed in the fact that he lets us do what we want to do. I know that speaks against our reason because we think, wait a minute, if I'm in charge, I should be able to force people to do what I want them to do. Well, that's actually a sign of weakness. Your force is speaking from fear, but the choice is speaking from a character of strength. I know who I am, and nothing will change that. Not even what you do or don't do. God's trying to help us to see his sovereignty through our liberty or our freedom to choose. Luke 13, verse 34, Jesus says it this way. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets and stonest them that are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings? This is what Jesus was willing to do. This is what God did when he gave Jesus to us. But what was Israel's choice? And ye would not. Israel would not. Jerusalem would not. But because they would not, does that not mean that God had a will? God had a will. God had a plan. What was his plan? His plan was that he would gather them and that he would hover over them and he would gather them and prosper and bless them. But they took his gathering and put him on Golgotha. They took the hands that stretched out to give bread to thousands and they bound them and they put it on a cross. I keep saying they, but we. When God is trying to give us the freedom to choose his plan, we, in effect, bind him. We tie him up when we make a decision that's outside of his will. So we're forcing God to be God with handcuffed hands. And then we wonder why there's strife, or we wonder why there's limitations. We wonder why we have issues. We wonder why our plan doesn't quite work out. What if we uncuffed God? What if we let Jesus be Lord and we said, no more. I'm going to unlock God's hands by making a decision to say, not my will, but thy will be done. And what happens is that the maker starts baking and the artist starts painting and the creator starts creating his vision for our lives, all because we freed him by giving him our free choice.